Hello wrestling fans, the Wrestling Wizard here and welcome to another video. Now today's video is a fun, quite out there Bray Wyatt theory video because there's been some absolute geniuses online coming out with these awesome theories. Like this Bray Wyatt storyline, as we know, is so unpredictable, but if we put some of the pieces of the puzzle together, maybe we're starting to solve this Bray Wyatt mystery storyline. Now, big shout out to James Grant and Erase Your Mind on Twitter. You have been coming out with some badass theories. So some of these theories are discussions that you've brought up online, and I thought you have to put them in a video because they're blimmin' genius. So let's get to it. Now, I know this sounds like absolute madness, but what if the plan all along was for Bray Wyatt to face Uncle Howdy at WrestleMania? Now, logically, it doesn't make sense at the moment because Bray Wyatt claims to be Uncle Howdy. He did say on this week's episode of SmackDown, I am the Eater of Worlds, I am Uncle Howdy, I am him, assuming that is the Fiend. So, logically, at the moment, it doesn't make sense. However, what if Bray Wyatt is lying? We know Uncle Howdy's called Bray Wyatt out several times, exposed a QR code saying he was a liar, exposed psychological reports basically displaying Bray Wyatt's weaknesses mentally. And I love this theory, and again, big shout out to James Grant and Erase Your Mind on Twitter. But what if Howdy is actually the manifestation of the White Rabbit, the rabbit that we saw in the White Rabbit project, the lead up to the Bray Wyatt return? After all, he did find the hole to hell. We saw that. We saw the rabbit go down that rabbit hole. And what if the demon in the Fiend is trapped in that hole? And the only way to open the gateway, if you like, is via Alexa Bliss. And Uncle Howdy knows that. And what if, for a long, long time now, Uncle Howdy has had that mission? Because if we go all the way back to the White Rabbit project, we saw that teaser with the words Belair, didn't we? We saw a file name, a White Rabbit image, there was a phone number. When you played that message backwards, it said Bravo Echo Lima Alpha India Romeo Belair. I am the way into the city of woe. I am the way into eternal sorrow. So what if Bianca Belair was the planned target all along? And that was Uncle Howdy's way of getting through to Alexa Bliss. Now, Uncle Howdy, especially on this week's episode of Raw, seemed to embrace Alexa Bliss. He seemed to welcome her embracing the darkness and reveling in who she truly is. He seemed to approve. We saw the pose. Now, if you look at the pose, we mentioned on Wizard Watch that was similar to the Randy Orton pose. But what if it was similar to the flash-up image we saw of that sort of rabbit figure, that sort of demon figure that we've seen through several months? I'll put it up on the screen right now. And that was a hint as to something darker and more sinister on its way, trying to get the Fiend back via Alexa Bliss. Because we know, of course, Bray Wyatt is resisting that. He's been resisting that for some time. So his sister Abigail'd him. Now, of course, Alexa Bliss was wrapped up in a feud with Damage Control for some months, so they couldn't accelerate the storyline too much there. So they went down more of the psychological angle with Bray Wyatt. But what if the clues had been there all along? Howdy's kind of like the Mad Hatter, and kind of Alexa is Alice, potentially. Like, and those two are in sync. But deep down, Alexa doesn't realise that Uncle Howdy is using her to get through to the Fiend, unlock the Fiend, which is such a cool dynamic. I absolutely love that spin on things. And even taking things a step further, there was some concept art that did the rounds on social media from Carl Scarborough, the artist, Bray Wyatt's tattoo artist. And this image came up, okay? And what if this was the concept art for the Demon Rabbit? What if Uncle Howdy and the Fiend, like, connected in some way similarly, joined forces? And that unlocks something even darker, something even more sinister, even more wicked than the Fiend. Like, that would be absolutely, like, terrifying, wouldn't it, if that came to life? So what if that's been the plan all along? And the fact that Uncle Howdy is using Bo Dallas, Bray's brother, as a host, potentially, in Uncle Howdy, is even more like disturbing really when you think about it. Uncle Howdy and Bray Wyatt in kayfabe and their characters are what they are, but away from kayfabe, it has to have been Bray Wyatt's dream to face his brother at WrestleMania. Like, how cool would that be? And what a rise up the ranks that would be for Bo Dallas, going from like a bit of a joke sort of jobber gimmick to one of the top heels in WWE in Uncle Howdy. So many questions. Again, it's just a theory that's a little bit out there, but I love the theories that are doing the rounds at the moment. Of course, more questions will be answered at this year's Royal Rumble. Is Howdy working for Bray? Is Bray working with Howdy? Is Howdy against Bray? Is he going to cost Bray in his matchup against LA Knight in the Pitch Black match? Are we going to see The Fiend and a true baptism in the dark at this year's event? Is Howdy going to help Alexa Bliss in her title match? So many questions, but just a fun theory out there. Would you like to see it? Would you like to see Bray Wyatt take on Uncle Howdy at WrestleMania, or The Fiend take on Uncle Howdy at WrestleMania? We'll have to wait and see. As always, thank you so much for watching the video. Be really appreciative if you could like the video, share the video, and even better, subscribe if you're new. And we will catch you in the next one.